Shalom Israel. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, all honor and glory to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Kakadash. That belongs to the apostles and elsewhere at Millstone for teachings his true peace and blessings to the whole plate division and Shalom. Yahweh is the name of the ancient Hebrew. By Hashem means the name. Yahweh Shai is the name of the God Son. Background lesson. And the main topic or the main point of the lesson is going to be spiritual power and the standard that Yahweh by Hashem Shai is going to lift against our enemy. As that may be the title right there. A standard will be lifted against our enemy. Because these devils are creating all sorts of, technology and just robots and all these different things in order to compete and go against Yahweh by Shema Shai, against his angels, Yahweh Shai, and especially against his men of the Lord. So you see him creating super soldiers, creating a space force in order to try to compete against the Lord's chariots, the angels that are in those vehicles. When you have multiple vehicles coming out, you have chariots, so-called UFOs tampering with thermonuclear missiles going to your backyard, to your military bases, and you ain't doing anything about it because you can't, But as you also see, going to that point I was making, you have Esau Edom creating these different robots and Iron Man-like suits of armor, super soldiers, and all these different things in order to try to, compete and go against, the man of the Lord and ultimately against Yahweh Bashim Shah, but you will not prevail, as the scripture is going to. So I do want to dive into a few scriptures that came to mind. Lord and be edifying lesson. Something to the spirit. Something I've been wanting to dive into. For a minute now. So Revelation 12 and 12. Let's jump right into it. It says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil to Esau, Edom, and so forth. Days come down to you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time." So these devils know they're on the clock. They're running out of time, so you see them trying to rush and implement their plans and put them into action as fast as possible. With everything that you're seeing now, especially with all these different algorithm changes, making it harder for his word to get out, and all these different restrictions and mandates out there, they'll start to, apply and implement in order to force the people's hand, to push them to a corner, and choices will have to be made. But ultimately, once again, read one more time, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is coming to you, having great wrath." So Esau, Edom, very soon is going to bring that hammer down. As you see, as the scripture is going to, a sword is being sharpened. You see these devils out there in the shooting range, sharpening their sword, preparing to crack down on Jake. Well, you have our people not taking heed to these warnings, not repenting, not seeking the Lord, partying and so-called living it up. Well, you have these devils out here preparing to slay you, man. As was mentioning Psalm 17:13, hide me from the wicked, which is thy sword, and how much to be swinging. That's on a lot of our people, man. Especially when these devils, once again will come down with that great wrath. Military troops coming to your hood, kicking down your door with robots and all these different things, throwing you into FEMA camps. What are you gonna do then? And especially to those Jakes, especially a lot of you Israelites that know this truth. Want to rely and put your faith and trust, in the sword, the modern day gun, Instead of putting their faith and trust in Yahweh Bashim Shai, sure, it may defend you, but it will not deliver you, especially with all the things that this devil Esau is about to come down with. There's going to need to be a divine intervention in order to defend us and to deliver us from these things, man. It's finna go down. It is finna go down, man. That's why the power is going to be needed in these last days. And Yahweh Bashim Shai will lift that standard against our enemies, and we hope, pray that we're of that number, all those men to receive it, man, Lord willing. That's why the scripture's going to make diligence to make a calling to lecture. Right? You got to put in that work, man. We got to show that Yahweh Bashim Shai that we want this, man. Doing what we can in order to preserve our spot. As you see, kind of to the top left, 144 right there. But Isaiah 59:19, which ultimately is all preordained. We just hope and pray that we're of that hopeful elect, Lord willing. Now, Isaiah 59:19. Now it says, "So shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and the glory from the rising of the sun, when the enemy shall come in like a flood." So, what you see in many TV shows, cartoons, and movies with people that have, supernatural, superpowers and all that. I was about to say supernatural abilities, and superpowers. You always have, military troops, surrounding the house, kicking down the door, and trying to surround the person that has those, supernatural abilities. And you have scenes from the show Invincible where you see them surrounding and trying to attack and kill Omni-Man, creating, mutants in order to, try to take him out. And as you see, like near the middle part of the show, a few episodes in, don't want to spoil it too much, but, these devils pretty much created a satellite where they're able to shoot, concentrated beams of fire, those laser beams from the satellites on down to, hit Omni-Man, and try to take him out. But he pretty much ate that, and pretty much took no damage, man. And destroyed their satellite, which I believe in the show, in that satellite, you have 144 on top. So, hey, these devils know. These devils know what's coming, and they're trying to prepare for it. So, as scriptures are going to how, or not scriptures, you see articles coming out of these devils, these elites, spending, billions of dollars in these deep underground military bases, these bunkers, and especially training these troops deep underground. And why do you think they would do that? They're trying to prepare. But Isaiah 59:19, read from the top. So shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and the glory from the rising of the sun, when their enemy shall come in like a flood. So they're going to come in like a flood. They show you in the movie, I believe, Project Power, starring Jamie Foxx, which is another good movie. Where near the end of the movie, he's surrounded by a bunch of troops, and he pretty much just decimated all of them, man. So these devils will stand no chance, no matter what they have, no matter what they will bring out, especially coming these last days. Nothing will prevail against the men of the Lord. So shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and the glory from the rising of the sun, when the enemy shall come like a flood. The spirit of Yahweh Bashim Shai shall lift up a standard against them, and that standard is going to be lifted against our enemy. That power will be bestowed upon the Lord's men that continue to believe, that continue to endure, and that remain faithful through all these adversities and trials and tribulations to come. And we hope and pray that we are of that number, men, to stand boldly for Yahweh Bashim Shai in these coming times, even in the face of death. Now, let's get a few more scriptures, fly through these, going to this, the power that's coming, which you'll see in many shows and in movies, cartoons. There's many examples of the type of power the Lord's going to bestow upon his men. And you see common powers like, super strength, super speed, and being able to fly. That's going to be the least of the powers the elect are going to have. The Lord will have that number. And they're going to be doing things that, we didn't think we can't even fathom or think right now. Showing you just how far the Lord is, man. The type of power he's going to give his men. Doing things that you can't even think of. That you can't fathom. As I mentioned, being able to fly, super speed, super strength, these are going to be the least of the powers that the men of the Lord are going to have, man. Jeremiah 16:16. You're just trying to push that image in your head. You have, I believe it was like the Watchmen, I think. Which, kind of spiritually in Watchmen. Isaiah 62. How the Lord said watchmen upon towers. Going to the prophets. But you see in the movies, I believe the Watchmen, if I'm correct. Where you have, I believe, I forget the exact name. It's the blue guy. I think Dr. Manhattan. Dr. Manhattan. Pretty much at a wave of a hand, just completely, sent that guy into a, pretty much evaporated him. Pretty much burst him into bits and pieces, man. I should say, blew him up, with the wave of a hand. Jeremiah 16:16, was trying for my words, but it says, behold, I will send for many fishers, say to Yahweh Shema Shai. Now, who are those fishers? The prophets, the men of the Lord. And who are they fishing for? The elect. And what's that bait? The word, this truth, this knowledge, and understanding. Now it says, behold, I send for many fishers, say the Lord, and they shall fish them. And after I will send for many hunters, so very soon Yahweh Shema Shai will turn his fishers, his prophets, his men of the Lord, into his hunters. As well, speaking of those death angels, Lord, and sent out upon this place, you're not able to hide from them. Because you're also going to have Yahweh Shema Shai send out his elect in order to get these devils from deep underground bunkers. These death angels that are being going out, And Yahweh Shema Shai is going to be judging this earth, man. These devils are not ready. I say, are not ready. Behold, I'll send for many fishers, say the Lord, and they shall fish them. And after I'll send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain, and from every hill, and of the holes of the rock. So you're not escaping the judgment and the destruction that Yahweh Shema Shai is bringing upon this place, especially what's coming to you devils, man. You're going to pay. But, many other scriptures touch on, I think, Isaiah 2:19. And many other scriptures go into how they're going to try to hide and flee into these bunkers, these caves, these mountains. There's this satellites, space stations. But hey, you're going down, You have the Lord's chariots, the angels that are in those vehicles. You're going to have the men of the Lord, the elect, that are going to receive that power. You're going to have Leviathan, especially many creatures that are coming in the last days too. I think of Wisdom of Solomon, these newly beasts, newly created, for paraphrasing. But that's time to a few more scriptures to go into the power that's coming. Isaiah 40 and 31. Now it said, but they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount with wings as eagles. Now, what do birds do? When they're preparing to take flight, they mount up their wings. They literally gonna be able to fly. One more time. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. So, elect men are literally gonna be able to fly. When they receive that power. Super speed, super strength, shooting laser beams, contrary beams of fire out your eyes. Telekinesis, all these different things that you see in these movies, cartoons, and TV shows. Where do you think they got the inspiration from to create those things? And that's not even a fraction of what the Lord is going to give His men. Those are the basically the common things, the least of low and wealth, the number of what we're going to have. That type of power the Lord's going to give His men, His elect men. Now, but they wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount with wings as eagles, be able to fly. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. Super speed, super strength, be able to fly, and many other things that you can't even think of right now, man. Gonna be Dr. Manhattan people, man. Or as Edward Kazak, likes to say, gonna be Brightburning people. You've seen that movie Brightburn? Hey, that's a bad movie right there, man. Very gruesome. Very bloody. Hey, that's what's coming, man. Gruesome death is coming to you, you heathen nations, you devils, as well as 2/3 of our wicked people. But hey, mainly you devils are gonna get it, man. And hey, Lords will, Yahweh, Ratazah, were of that number, man, to receive that power. To wreak havoc upon these devils, man. Isaiah 41:13 through 16. As for Yahweh Shemashah, thy God will hold thy right hand, saying unto thee, fear not, I will help thee. So we have nothing to fear, man. And we need to have full trust and full faith in Yahweh Shemashah. Especially in the power of the Lord is going to give His men that continue to believe, that continue to endure, that remain faithful throughout all these adversities, the persecution, the demonization, even unto death. That's why Scripture going to James 1:12, Revelation 3:10. Be thou faithful unto death, going to Revelation 2:10. There's a reward and a prize waiting for us. Verse 14. Fear not thou worm Jacob. Because right now, we're a worm, we're in a low estate. And fear not thou worm Jacob, and ye men of Israel, I will help thee, saith Yahweh Shemashah, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. Verse 15, and the Lord's going to be doing great works. Especially for instance for those that believe His elect, that continue to endure. Great miracles will be performed. And look what the Lord did back for us in ancient Egypt. All the miracles He performed. Deliverance from our captivity, raining manna from heaven to feed us. Cracking that rock for water. So what makes you think the Lord's not doing the same thing today? Especially having the angels. As Scripture going to, that was the angel of the Lord encamped around about Him that fear Him. Have the angels watching over us, protecting us, especially when you may not even know it. And many other things that the Lord is going to do. Nothing is impossible for me. Nothing is impossible for Yahweh Shemashah. That's why Scripture going to how the Lord's arm is not too far stretched out to save. The Lord could teleport you out of a situation. Especially in the midst of all this chaos getting ready to erupt, especially in the midst of Jacob's trouble. You're going to especially know who Yahweh Shemashah is dealing with and who His men are. By the way of who's being protected and defended, who's being well kept. Because Scripture going to the second Ezra, I think in the second chapter, how the elect will have abundance in the last days, especially during that famine. Especially with all these killings, these judgments that's going to be going out, the plagues, the pestilence. You're going to know who the men of the Lord are and who Yahweh Shemashah is dealing with. Especially when they receive that power, man. Verse 15, I say, behold, I'll make thee a new sharp threshing instrument having teeth. Thou shalt thresh the mountains and beat them small, and shalt make the hills as shafts. As Scripture also going to how Yahweh Shai, is gonna use his elect as his weapons of war, man. His battle axe. Verse 16, thou shalt fan them, and the wind shall carry them away, and the whirlwind shall scatter them, and thou shalt rejoice in Yahweh Bashim Shai, and shalt glory in the Holy One of Israel. Let's get a few more scriptures. Now, Jeremiah 51:20, going back to that point I was making, says, thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. For with thee I will break in pieces the nations, and with thee I will destroy kingdoms. Now, let's get also another scripture, who teaches my hands to war. Just came to mind. Hey, Psalm 144. Hey, Koho Yahweh Bashim Shai, man. Hey, Lord willing. Psalm 24:1. Now it says, a psalm of David, blessed be the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Shai, my strength, which teacheth my hands to war and my fingers to fight. Because you see many accounts of David, being a mighty man, taking out troops, and especially him leaping, over that high wall. And very soon we're going to be those mighty men. Lord bestows that power to tread upon our enemies, to defend and protect his men. Alright, the book of Leviticus 26:8. That's why I also kind of got that first picture that you saw in the beginning. Now it says, and 5 of you shall chase 100, and 100 of you shall put 10,000 to flight, and your enemies shall fall before you by the sword. Because you're going to have these devils, trying to, surround us, and thinking that they have us in checkmate, that they got us, that you ain't going nowhere. But once Yahweh flips that switch, he's gonna completely flip the tables on you, man. Hey, these devils think they have power. Hey, you haven't seen nothing yet, man. But that goes to show the type of power the Lord is going to give his men, especially with all the things these devils are doing and are creating, will especially be using in these last days. There's a need to be a divine intervention in order to, get us out of that, man. Part of this is going to be that power in order to protect them, his men, as well as many other miracles that the Lord can perform, using his angels to stand guard to protect his men, delivering out of certain situations, and there's many other cases, man. Nothing's impossible for Yahweh Bashim Shai. And this is, once again, just another small example of the type of power the Lord will give his men. Be running through troops, man, armies. You devils stand no chance. Now, there's 5 of you will chase 100, and 100 of you shall chase 1,000, 10,000. All your enemies will fall beneath your sword. 8,000 shall fall at their side. I think this is another scripture right here. This is one of the other ones I was wanting. I say, 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Because Yahweh is going to, completely defend and protect his men. So though, certain members of the elect will pass on his side, but they will be risen back up. In those new bodies, come back with our Lord. So that scripture also going to, those that remain on his side, because you will have certain members of the elect that are not going to taste that. So that scripture going to, there shall be some here that shall not taste that. I'll be paraphrasing. But you're going to be joined back together with them in the clouds, with the 2 Thessalonians. But Psalm 91:7, 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Even though the scripture going to tell you, not a hair of thy head shall perish. And hey, hair follicles you have, not a single one is going to perish, man. This is going to show the type of protection the Lord's going to have around his men, especially with everything that's going to go on. And we need to have full faith and full trust in Yahweh Bashim Shai and the things he's about to do. Especially if you're in the truth, hey, you better believe, man. Especially with this power the Lord's going to give his men that believe. Isaiah 54:17, and once the Lord's will, we are those men. Now it says, no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and the righteousness of me, saith Yahweh Bashim Shai. Now, main point is the first sentence right now. It says, no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. And as I mentioned near the beginning of the lesson, and also near the mid part, of all the things these devils are creating, the types of robots, But you see, I think I forget the exact company that's working on these robots. I think Boston Dynamics, Boston Dynamics, where they came out with a video, pretty much a 10-year, I believe, time lapse of just the advances that they have made. And that's just a small example, a little taste of what they have and the things that they have behind the scenes. They're not going to fully show you their trump card, all their weapons and things that they have in store, and will especially be using in these last days, because it'll just cause a bunch of chaos and all these different things. And look what happened when they said that they're going to allow police officers to use killer robots. People start bugging out. But we have been warning you through the Spirit of Yahweh Shai, the destruction, the judgment, and the great wrath that the devils are finna come down with. And those of our people that don't repent and take heed, you're finna take part in this destruction, and the great wrath that you're about to be caught in the midst of, that you don't want to be a part of, man, because the Lord's finna tear up a lot of our wicked people, man, and it's finna get bad. But main point here, no weapon that's formed against these shall prosper. So none of their weapons will work. As I mentioned near that Invincible scene with the Omni-Man, where you had a satellite shoot a laser beam down onto him, pretty much did no damage, And I'm pretty sure it had 144, on that satellite. Also, once again, these devils know, and they're trying to prepare for it. Now let's use the last two, and we'll shut down from there. Luke 10 and 19. The short lesson to the Spirit. I just wanted to dive into spiritual power. Saw a few. I believe Edwards Manasakpa touched on it, and I saw like a little edit. So especially wanted to dive into it earlier this week too. So the Lord was edifying. Now Luke 10:19, I said, "Behold, I give you power to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you." This type of power that Yahweh Shai is going to give his men to completely trample and tread over our enemy, man. That the technology, the robots, the super soldiers that they are creating will stand no chance. These satellites that they were to shoot laser beams down, which they actually have. Do you see many photos coming out of abnormal fires happening in forests, and you'll see, pictures to be taken, and you see a little beam, of light just coming down. They put these things in front of your eyes in movies, TV shows, cartoons, predictive programming, all these things that they have, and especially will be using in these last days. So I skip going to how their own tongue shall fall upon themselves, and also 2 Corinthians 11, how we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. Read one more time. "Behold, I give you power to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy." And as I mentioned, super strength, super speed, being able to fly. These are going to be the least type of powers that the men of the Lord, the elect, are going to have. The elect are going to be able to do way more than that. That's going to be the least of type of power the Lord can give his men. "Behold, I give you power to tread on serpents and scorpions over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by enemies hurt you." Now, let's close it out with 2 Ezra 16:73 that I kind of mentioned earlier. You're going to know who Yahweh Shai is dealing with and who his men are in these last days. 2 Ezra 16:73, "Then shall they be known, then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire." And you're especially going to know who his chosen are, with who's being protected, who's being defended, who's being well taken care of and having abundance, especially when the men of the Lord, the elect, receive that power. And once again, Lord's will, wherever that number and all those men are willing. So we're making diligent to make calling to election sure, showing the Lord, Yahweh Shai, that we want this, man. But pretty much the main point already. Like I said, something to the Spirit, something I was wanting to dive into these past few weeks. But Spirit jumped on me to dive into it now. But when I got the point across and you're edified, the Lord was kind of uplifting and a faith booster of just the great things that Yahweh Shai is going to do for his men. Those that believe and continue to endure the type of power he's going to bestow upon them in order to tread upon our enemy and to defend and protect us in the coming times. And the Lord will work with that hopeful elect. But I do want to give all praises, all honor and glory to Yahweh Shai, Bashem Kakadash, that honors the apostles and else great millstone for teaching us his true peace and blessings to the whole collective Israel. And Shalom, see you next one, Lord willing.